is Freddy Torres with the Good News Network, and I'm here with the mayor of the city of Lansing, Mr. Andy Schor. How are you, sir?
I'm good, Freddy. How are you doing?
I'm doing real good. I know there's a lot of stuff going on. I know you're a busy man, so I really appreciate this time that you've given us just to ask a few questions with all the madness and craziness that's going on in the city of Lansing. But we do appreciate you and everything that you do for our city. I just have a couple of questions for you, and I'm going to get right to the questions. I appreciate you so much for this time. What's your favorite thing about living in the great city of Lansing?
Oof. Just one? There's so much I love about this city. We've been here 25 years. We live here on purpose. I grew up in New York, and I came here to Michigan for college, and I loved it. This is where I wanted to be. I love that it's the capital city. I love the diversity of our city. I love the schools and the people. I love the art. I love really the energy of Lansing. There's just so much going on here, and I've always enjoyed it. And I immediately wanted to get involved when I came here. I came here to work in the legislature, and then just really fell in love with the city. So my wife and I wanted to stay here. We got married. We had our kids. Our kids are in the Lansing School District. It's so much just energy and excitement that, I don't know, if I had to pick one thing, it would probably be the people. It's really the people that are here.
I love that. My next question is, what motivated you to get involved with the city government here?
Yeah. Well, I've been serving in the state legislature, which was an honor, and I wanted to get more directly involved with the city, with getting things done here in the city. In the legislature, it's fantastic. You get to work on policy. I worked on suspension and expulsion in our schools. I worked on Medicaid expansion statewide, and it was an honor. But there came a point where you want to help out your neighbors. You want to help out the people who live here. You want to do your best to try and get a few roads paved, and you want to do your best to make sure that the community is where we all expect it to be. Again, to advance the community, to grow the community. And so I decided. I had a lot of people approach me and said, "We like your leadership. We like what you got done in the legislature." And so I put my name out there for mayor and said, "I'm ready to lead the city." And the voters agreed, and it's been an interesting few years. There's no doubt.
Surprise.
It's right. It's a surprise. We've seen a lot of growth, but we've also seen some crises that we've had to navigate. So we'll continue to do that, and I'll continue to do that.
I've seen a lot of crazy things happen, especially this year.
Nobody gets elected expecting to have some of the things we have going on now. Expecting that you're going to lock everything up and shut down the economy, and there's just a lot. There's a lot, but we'll navigate all of that. We have to address all of it. You have to address coronavirus. You have to address, racial equality, and you have to address injustice, and you have to address many of these things going on while still growing the city. So we're going to do all of it.
Mr. Mayor, what is the one thing that you would want people to know about Andy Schor?
What's the one thing? That I love this city, and I love the people in this city. And everything I do every day is how to make things better here in the city. I'm listening. I listen to people. I hear their stories, and I hear sometimes what they love and sometimes what they don't love. And I'm going to work on addressing all of the things that are brought to my attention to the best of my ability. I am not perfect. I make mistakes, and when I do, I own them, and I try and do better. And that's what I'm going to do every day that I'm in this job. Every day I wake up thinking about the great things and the problems that we have, and how to solve those problems, and how to best move this city forward. And that's what they get from me every day, as long as I am sitting in the mayor's office.
I do have a question from a minister, and he told me to ask you this.
Okay.
So I said, okay, I'm going to ask him. I'm going to get up the nerve to ask him. But I feel comfortable enough to ask you the question. Do you really care about the people in Lansing? How do you feel about what's going on right now?
Yeah, this is very difficult right now. I do care about the people. I care when I hear that there are, and it's not when I hear, I know there are people who don't have the same advantages as others, right? I'm a white male, right. And I know that when I walk down the street, I have a different experience than others. I have been told, and this is where I want to listen, that if an African American male or female or a Latino male or female, they get pulled over by the police, it's a different experience. And when I have people tell me that, it breaks my heart, but it's also the reality. We know that there are people who live in this community who are not getting ahead. I know that. We've seen the data. It's not just anecdotally, I've seen the data. People who are in communities of color that their children are not doing better than their parents. So when we focus on neighborhoods of focus, and we focus on areas where we're trying to provide more resources, that's equity. That's making sure that they have those steps to get higher on that ladder so that they can succeed where other people have traditional benefit. So I care about all of that. I'm doing some work on that, and there's more work to do. And that's what I'm going to do.
Most people don't know how the government and laws work. They want it now. They want an answer right now. If you don't give us an answer right now, we're going to go crazy. And how does that work, and what's the process to I know, and I've seen you out there. I've seen you out there marching with people before and standing with civil rights and all kinds of stuff. I've seen you personally. But how does that work? How does the process work? Sometimes people, they get a little anxious and
well, we work with city council. City council is the legislative body. They pass the laws, and I work with them because I can veto things. So our ordinances are passed by city council. So a lot of that is done with public comment and going before the public. And I'm part of that process, but they're the legislative body. So I do work with them. Some policies are internal. Some of them, again, are passed by council. So it's, government is a slow process sometimes. And we do our best to make things happen quickly. But there are policies, there's collective bargaining agreements where, we're a union town. And we have, we work with our workers. So there are collective bargaining agreements, and there are other things that all have to be navigated when you're trying to make change. And sometimes it can be slower than I would want, but it will go through the process, and as there's policy changes that are needed, we'll work with our city council. We'll look internally at whatever policies we have. We'll work with our bargaining units and others to make change.
So it's just a process. You have to go through a chain of command. Basically, this will be the last question for you, Mr. Mayor. I thank you for your patience. And what did it feel like when I heard that the protesters came to your house?
They did.
How'd you feel? I know you got a family, you got kids. What was the feeling that you got when?
They came to the house. We actually weren't there at first. We had a friend who had bought a new house, so we went to the new house, and I didn't know about it. So I drove back. And, I had a conversation with the protesters. Wow. And there were about 150 people, in the street. They were actually, they were very respectful. They didn't come on the lawn or anything. They were in the street. And I had a conversation with them and listened. And, they talked about what they wanted. And, we had a good conversation. And then they left shortly after. And then they came back. Then I actually came to the Capitol to meet with them the next night when, and we had another conversation, and we'll see what happens. It's tough on the family, but I'm happy to have conversation with folks who want it. I'm happy to do it here in my office. I'm happy to do it in public meetings and things. We hold a lot of those where we invite people in to have conversations. So I'm going to listen to what folks want and see what we can do.
Well, we just thank you. From the Christian community, I deal with a lot of pastors, ministers, bishops, and we're praying for you. And we appreciate that, man. And for you to step out and talk to 150 people, that's big. You got a lot of heart for that. But also, I just pray, that God be with you, be upon your life and your family's life, protect you and keep you safe, and give you the wisdom and the ability that you need to get through this. I want to thank you once again, Mr. Mayor, for your time.
And thank you, and to thank all of your viewers. I get a lot of people who email me and say, "Oh, we're praying for you," and my answer is always thank you. I will take all the prayers that I can get when people do that, and it's an honor to be in your thoughts and prayers.
Yes, sir. Thanks again, Mr.
Thank
Mayor.
you.